Right. I'm off to deal with the fate of the planet. Be gentle with them.
Oh, you know me, Mark. Kid gloves, but made from real kids.
Halloween's season is dawning, so or is already here, so it's the best time I figured to talk about Batman The Long Halloween. This week, part 1. Next week, I'm gonna talk about part 2. But of course, I watched both films and I will be only judging the films, not the comics, because I haven't read them in a long time. And to go through and compare all the differences, I'm not gonna do it because this is kind of my show and I run things how I want. But yeah, enough of the yapping and let's get to the film. Now, the general gist of Batman The Long Halloween is that there's a killer called the Holiday Killer. I'm sorry. There's a killer on the run called the Holiday Killer, and yeah, he's going around and killing mobsters on very specific days, similar to Calendar Man. It's also in the story, and at the time when the original comic came out, he was kind of a B-lister, C-lister villain, and Jeff Loeb brought him back as Hannibal Lecter type, and he exactly deserves that. In the story, as Batman, Gordon, and the rest come a few times back to Calendar Man and question him. And the first film is a bit slower in the beginning and methodical, which I wasn't really vibing with, but overall, due to it panned out well, I think. And also, the animation style of the Tomorrowverse doesn't always land it for me. Oftentimes it's a bit stiff or flash animation like, but here, for The Long Halloween, it went well and served the story. A story not dictated by a whole lot of action. And on the other side of the positives, I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of the Joker, but here in this film, maybe it's the lines, maybe it's the delivery, but yeah, the Joker was a really entertaining character throughout the film and had me laughing a few times because it didn't have, oh please, shut it. And that's great. And he's voiced by the great Troy Baker, who has kind of inherited the role from Mark Hamill. And the rest of the voice performances are also quite strong. Now, here's a mind tangent that I have to go on, but look, Jensen Ackles does a good Batman, and I'm not really sold on his take of Bruce Wayne. Now, Bruce Wayne, because he doesn't get covered a whole lot, or more often than not, Batman is in the forefront and people forget about the Bruce Wayne personality. Bruce Wayne is supposed to be kind of chipper and authentically chipper, even though you as the audience know that it's an act put on, and I don't know. Batman, of course, should be sounding gruff, and yeah, his take on Bruce Wayne just sounds too gruff, I would say. Uh, and the other mind tangent that's not really a sin of the film or anything is during the whole scene on the boat when Batman and Catwoman are talking felt kind of eerie. And the reason why I felt the scene was eerie is because of Catwoman's voice actress, Naya Rivera. This was one of her last films, and the reason why it's so eerie is that Naya Rivera died during a boat accident, and even in the film, the last sentence by Catwoman or her goodbye to Bruce is like, see you on the other side, and that felt just weird in hindsight. And the bigger points I have to address next week of the film, but sometimes it does feel too crowded, and my bigger issues comes with the holiday killer itself, and how there's not much focus again. We start off slow and then we follow the holiday killer, but then we get stuff about the Joker and Calendar Man, and here are tidbits of Solomon Grundy. Well, welcome his addition. I actually kind of like Solomon Grundy, but yeah, at times it does feel too crowded, and still this isn't a problem for this film, but it becomes a problem in part 2. But overall, it's a very solid uh, entry to the Batman animated films, and doesn't take too much of your time. So if you're down to spend some time with a really good, or at least better than average Batman film with strong voice performance and good animation. Here there are some animation errors, and it's nothing too distracting, and a well-paced story for the most part with interesting side bits and here and there, and a good understanding for how the mob world works in the Batman universe. The Long Halloween Part 1 is definitely something for you. So I would end this video by saying this film has like a 7.7 rating in my books, and we'll see us next week for
Don't forget to subscribe!
Now get the fuck out of my driveway.